Hello everyone and welcome back to JB's Total Gaming, where today we're going to be taking a look at Stellaris. We're going to do a little bit of a playthrough here, and as we do this playthrough I'm going to be trying to explain what I'm doing and what's going on. This is a big 4X grand strategy game from the makers of games like Crusader Kings and Europa Universalis, Paradox strategy games. So this is a big game, probably a little bit more complex than say a Civilization game, but at the same time it is a little bit more palatable than some of those other games. It's kind of in between those two, if you will. And that's why we're checking it out. So right now we're going to start off and talk about race creation, because you can go through and play as one of the many prefabricated races, and there's all different kinds of people with all different kinds of things. You can make your own race, and this is the race that I did my first playthrough with the Gwent Collective, because, well, Gwent is a cool game in The Witcher. So anyways, you can go through and do a lot of things, and then with that you can, in subsequent games after you have saved the race, either have that race not show up in games you play, have the potential for them to show up, or lock them into a game. So if we start a game, then this culture is going to be in a game that we play. So that's kind of cool. So you can make a bunch of races eventually and have them all in there. But now we're going to play as the Brood here, and the Brood are from Zumba, and it's just random things that I made up. But we're going to go into the editor and look at all the different stuff that you have available when you make a race and talk about how some of it affects. So you have all different kinds of things, all these different pictures, as you can see, of all these different types of races. Not only different types, but many different pictures as far as that type is concerned. But this is the one we've selected now because I think they're cute. Alright, so we're the Zumba, and again, you can set all these things for your race, what they're going to be called, because there are a lot of different pop-ups and that. And for some reason I thought it'd be cool to have planetoid names for these guys. I don't know why I chose that, but I did. But these are all things that you can vary, all different kinds of stuff in the character creation. Now this is where things start to get interesting with traits. You have a total of 2 points that you can spend and 5 picks that you can make. And then you can see here that we have something that costs 2, 3, 4, and then 2 -1 points. So we're able to get 4 points worth of stuff in the red numbers because we had some negative effects on our people. So let's talk about how we chose to make this race. They are rapid breeders, so they're going to grow more quickly, which will be nice. They are deviants, but what that means in this game is they have more ethics divergence. So basically, our culture is going to function a certain way, but as we spread out, they may change. People on other planets who are part of the same race may be more likely to change from the things that we've set up, basically deviating from the norm of their culture. They are sedentary. That doesn't really mean they're lazy, but they don't migrate to other planets as easily, and it costs more to resettle them. However, they are natural engineers, so engineering research is going to get us, we're going to learn that a little bit faster, and they're thrifty. I was planning on kind of doing more of a militaristic playthrough with this race. I did kind of somewhat more peaceable one the one time I've played through this before, and bear in mind I may screw things up. If you're an experienced gamer in this game, this may not be the thing for you. I may not do all the best strategies, but I'm going to try to go through and explain everything as I do it to hopefully help new players. And as a new player myself, as kind of a dummy in the game, maybe I'll be able to do a good job of explaining all that stuff and explaining it better than some other people might. But basically there are 3 different main resources in the game. Energy credits. It's weird that it's called energy, but it's really kind of like money, if you will, hence the term credits, and you need that to maintain fleets. And I'm planning on having some pretty big fleets, so you can see some things we can choose, kind of what our ruler looks like and things like that, all kinds of special things. Now this is interesting. We've decided to play snow foxes. Basically we are from this Arctic world here, and then basically there's this circle, if you will, if you can imagine, like the Arctic worlds are here, and then there are 2 next to them, and then 2 next to them, and then 1 at the bottom that's completely opposed. And basically that is how likely it is possible for you to be able to settle on a planet. So something that is diametrically opposed to the frozen world, we're not going to be able to settle on. But eventually some of the planets that are like closer to us, or at least it'd be very, very difficult to settle on some of these planets, we're going to have to maybe terraform it or things like that, or do things to improve how habitable planets are for us. So you can choose what type of city you have. Now this is where we get into some more interesting things here. here. So with ethics, and this is a really fascinating part of the game, you get a total of 3 points to spend. If you pick any of these things in the inner circle, they're worth 1 point, and then things on the outer circle are worth 2. We are fanatic militarists, so we're going to play more of a military playstyle on this one. We get more influence from rivalries. Influence is another important thing to keep track of. It allows you to recruit leaders and do different things, and by having rivalries with other factions is one of the ways to gain more of it and get more weapon damage and war happiness. The other thing we are materialist. So buildings cost a little bit less, and I believe based on how much population we have in a city or on a planet, we'll get more output from science and things like that. So basically I want to get up the technology tree quickly and do a lot of damage to people. And there are all different kinds of governments to choose from. So governments not only give you different types of bonuses, but determine if you have elections, how long people are in, but we have a military dictatorship. We have more naval capacity because there is a cap where it becomes inefficient to have ships over a certain number once you reach a certain point. Our ship costs less, and again, rivalry influence gains. So we have some things that kind of work with each other in this culture. We're going to want to make rivals. So we are the Brood. This is the symbol that we've made. You can choose different symbols and different background colors, and then this blue is kind of what our culture is going to be on the map. Now, this is also interesting because you choose what your starting weapon is, and in general, these weapons are kind of rock, paper, scissors. Different weapons do different things. Missiles are pretty powerful. They're excellent at range, but you can have point defenses that shoot down missiles. So there's a lot of things where, depending on how you build your ships, you can kind of counter with certain ship builds other cultures that build their ships a certain way. I did energy weapons in my first playthrough. Projectile weapons seem to be kind of a more middle of the road thing, a little bit harder to counter, but doesn't necessarily counter other stuff all that well. I could be wrong about that though. High rate of fire, chew through shields with ease, so that's kind of cool. So that's kind of what they do. Now, another interesting thing is the FTL method. So I'm going to use warp travel because it is recommended for new players, and it's kind of the easiest to make sense of. Hyperspace travel allows you to travel much more quickly than warp travel, but the thing with warp travel is you can travel between any two systems within a certain amount of range, and hyperspace allows you to travel more quickly, but there are hyperspace lanes, so you can't necessarily jump from any system to any system. There are specific routes you have to take, so you can do it faster, but there could be potential choke points where you could be stopped or things like that. And then wormhole travel is kind of middle of the road. It's probably a little bit faster than warp travel, but you do need to create these wormhole stations basically that you can jump in and out of. Now you can choose what you want your ship to appear like. So that's everything we've got going on here. So we're going to select this as the race to play. And then there's all different things you can do. We're going to play on a small map. We're still learning. You can change the shape and everything. AI empires, if they get a quick start, all these different details again, and this is stuff that we're not going to get into every little thing, but a lot of customization, where people start, how aggressive they are, if you are going to allow all of the faster than light travel methods or just one so that everybody has the same thing, all different kinds of things. But that is our setup, so let's get going here. And this is kind of interesting too, because based on the decisions you make, you will get these different text blocks for your cultures. Now, this is a real-time game that you can pause at any point and then play at different speeds, so it isn't turn-based like Civilization. So that's something to bear in mind, and you can speed it up and slow it down or pause and do things. So let's learn a little bit about the Brood. In the eons since the primitive Zumba communities took shape on the snowfields and ice caves of Zumba Prime, our civilization has spread and prospered. So again, all those choices we made for our race are showing up here, and it's kind of nice that they show up in these things, and it changes not only the names of things based on what we choose, but what things are worded, how they're worded. Countless nation states formed as we advance through the technological ages, warring against each other until only one remained. Although the fighting was often brutal, those who survived nurtured a martial tradition that has prevailed to this day. Now, after the successful creation of several experimental subspace fields, the finest minds in the Brood have finished development of the first warp drives. The stars themselves are finally within our grasp. So here we are, a civilization that has just achieved FTL status, warp status. So we're kind of like the Vulcans when they came across humanity, jumping into warp drive for the first time. So we're right at that point in history. So we can have the full tutorial where this little computer guy is telling us everything. Did it for my first playthrough. We'll just do tips only for now, and hopefully not miss anything. So let's talk about what we have. Now let's go through up here real quick. So this is our energy credits. Again, even though it's energy, it's also kind of like currency, money, if you will. We currently have 50, and as of right now, we are making 7 per month. Minerals are how you build buildings and ships and things like that, and we're making 12 per month. Influence, again, there's all different things you can do with influence, colonizing planets, getting new leaders and things like that. And we're currently gaining 3 a month, but there are a lot of things that can take away from this as well. And we're currently producing 5 per month of physics, society, and engineering. So these are the 3 different types of resources, and we'll check these out in a second here as to what we are going to research with each one of those. Strategic resources, actually this is a little bit like Civ. There are specific resources you can unlock later in the game that do specific things. We can only directly control 5 systems right now, which is really interesting. If there are multiple planets in a system, it counts as one system, but we can only control 5 different systems, and if we try to get over that, there are going to be costs involved, and instead we have to make districts where basically they govern themselves for the most part based on rules that we set up. It does help with not having to micromanage everything late in the game, and at first I didn't think I liked this feature, but now I think I do. So, and right now we have 3 ships out of a maximum of 15, but again, this can be increased, this can be increased. A lot of these things can be increased. So let's go through here. We can go through and look at all different kinds of things with our government, our budget, and all these breakdowns that may be more useful later. Right now, we're the only society that we know about, so there's nobody really in our contact screen. We'll have all different things popping up in the situation log, but right now, let's talk about technology. So like I said, there are 3 different types of technology, and you always want to be researching in all 3 of them. And these are the bonuses that we're getting right now. So this guy's maniacal, so he gets +5 research at everything, which is great. And there are all these different traits. Now this one, he gets +10 if we're researching a biology sort of thing, which is kind of nice. And this guy is also maniacal, so +5 to everything. So that's pretty cool. So let's select researches. Now the way this game works research, it's different than a lot of other games. There is, if you will, kind of a tech tree. In order to unlock other things, you need to unlock certain things in order to unlock higher levels of things, but you don't have the whole tree available to you. You just have, at the start, 3 choices, but you can't actually up those choices as well. And, well, it is kind of an interesting thing. There's also different rarities of these that show up. But you can think of it as like cards in a deck, and then when we research certain ones, certain new ones go into that deck, and then it's random as to how we get those available. So it's a really interesting way of doing tech, you know, and I'm not entirely sure how I feel about it. Sometimes I think it's kind of neat, sometimes I don't. And the thing is all 3 of these are really fantastic. When we build ships, we want more efficient power in order to power the things in our ships. Solar panels are great for our space stations because they make them use up less maintenance energy credits, however you want to look at it. And, you know, shields are really nice too. So, you know what, I actually think I'm going to go, eventually, right now they're just deflectors, but I believe at level 3 they become shields. So I'm going to get this first. I still want both of these a whole bunch, and most of the beginning technologies you're really going to want. Now this one, you always have colony ship available when you start the game, and this is always going to be there until you pick it because, well, you need colony ships. Now we do, however, get a bonus to biology. So we would get a bonus if we researched biolabs, and then you can scroll over it and see exactly what it does. Basically, you can build science facilities on planets to give you 1-1-1 research. This will give you 1-2-1, which is kind of nice. Or growth time. So what exactly does this do? Let's see here. Genome mapper. Let's see here. Mapping the genome of an individual through DNA. Interesting. I'm not actually entirely sure what this does. Okay, oh yeah, that's right. After you unlock certain of these, you can basically change the genome of your species, which is kind of cool. Now, I'm tempted to do the biolab but because I get the bonus, but actually I want to start with colony ships because I want to expand as quickly as possible. Now, it's going to take a while, but I want to get that ready so that we have it. Let's see here. So, engineering facility, this is like the other one we talked about, but it gives 2 in engineering. Armor is interesting in this game. Again, there's a whole shipbuilding component that we'll look at, and And armor doesn't give you more hit points, but it does give you damage reduction or improve spaceport. So this allows us to create Corvette assembly yards and spaceport level 2. I'm actually going to do this one right now, as much as, I do want armor. Corvette assembly yards allow you to build Corvettes more quickly and more cheaply, and we're going to be a heavy militaristic culture, so to have that right off the bat would be nice, and to be able to build level 2 spaceports, which allow us to build bigger ships. So let's get into some of the other things we have here. So we're not going to really look at the planets and sectors all that much right now. Again, that's going to be more important later. The leaders is really interesting. So these are the scientists that we have employed. We have one on a science ship, and then the 3 doing the research, and our governor. We do have a cap as to how many leaders we can have, but we can, again, increase that cap like many other things. Now, leaders will gain in experience, gain in levels, and eventually die, and we're going to have to replace them, which is one of the reasons that influence is important. But we can also recruit admirals and generals and things eventually down the road. But we have 5 of available 10 for our culture right now. Factions is really important right now. Strategic species. We're not going to get too much into this. Policies and edicts, though, is a really interesting thing. So we can change our policy. So our war policy is unrestricted wars. We can do libertarian wars or defensive wars. Now, because we are a fascist military, we don't even have the option. This would mean we can only fight defensive wars. Now, this limits what we can do, because whenever we declare a war in this game, we have to give our goals as to what we want to accomplish. And libertarian wars maybe won't allow us to just go in and take over another culture or something like that, where unrestricted wars can. Now, our philosophies will also affect how other people feel about us. Cultures that maybe are pacifists and whatever may not like us based on our policies. And we can have policies for all different kinds of things here. Voting rights. We're really assessing the option we have for leadership. Again, primary species only because of the type of leadership we have. Now, our first contact protocol, let's see here, we can be aggressive right away, or we can be peaceful. But here's the deal. Our population won't like that. Now, you can't change these things back and forth all the time. If you change them, you have to wait 10 years basically in order to change them back. And I do like that it shows you that our population, because of who we are as a people, being an aggressive people, we actually do not want that change. It would make our people unhappy. Now, edicts are another super interesting thing. So edicts, you see here, there is a monthly cost to maintain. So instead of producing 3 influence per month, we'd only be producing 1 influence per month if we pass any of these edicts. So there's all different kinds of things that'll give us, this one, less ethics divergence, or less in that we won't change as much as we spread out, but we'll get less research speed. We can get more research speed for more ethics divergence, and that's something that I might actually be willing to do. I want to research as quickly as possible, and we're not really spreading out amongst the culture yet, so ethics divergence is an interesting thing. So we could focus on physics, society, or engineering also. I actually think I'm going to encourage free thought. Now, you can see right here, now we're only producing 2 excess influence per month, but I really like this one. I'm not too worried about the ethics divergence. We already have it going on, so we may end up with people with very differing opinions across the galaxy eventually if we keep this going. And you can also have individual edicts on planets and things like that. So actually, speaking of that, let's go ahead and look at Zumba Prime, our planet here. So we have a governor this is the modifiers that they give, so they clear things better and less construction time. So that's kind of nice. So this kind of gives us an overview of our planet. We can see here 3 excess food. That's good because we need food in order to grow. So if we look at our surface, here are citizens on the surface. So there are also tiles that are blocked right now, and we actually need in some cases certain technologies in order to unblock certain tiles, and we can move these people around to different things, and then we can build things on the tiles that don't have a building. Now, right now, what do I want to do? Do I want to, now can I actually clear more space? Yeah. So I'm going to, do I want to build buildings first? No, actually I want to clear some space up first, and then I can kind of queue in order here what I want to do. So now this one, oh, we can't afford to clear this tile because we need more minerals in order to do that. You can see there's a cost associated with all of these things. So we are going to have to wait a little bit before we can really clear this stuff and then develop our planet a little bit more. We can recruit defensive armies and then also armies that we can send out to take other planets in attacks. And this is another really interesting thing here. So eventually we're going to be able to build more spaceport modules as we get a bigger spaceport. We'll also be able to build bigger ships and have more modules. So, this is something that, again, is going to build over time. So that's the stuff we have in a planet. Now let's talk about, and this is our actual spaceport here, and we can zoom all the way in and see that. That's kind of cool. And this is our fleet. But let's talk about, we have a constructor ship and we have a science ship. So these are going to be used to build things throughout our galaxy, and also they're going to be used in order, the construction ship is going to build things throughout our galaxy, and the science ship is going to go around and survey planets and research anomalies. So this is a really nice menu over here that allows you to select different things. So we're going to select this ship, and then we're going to go and look. So this is our sphere of influence right now and our starting sector. So I'm going to go ahead and right click on here and say to survey system. Now, because this is already within our sphere of influence, I'm going to hold down shift, right click on here, and say survey that system. So basically, our science ship is going to survey all the planets and all the planetary bodies, the sun, and all of that in our own system, and then it's going to go do that for this system. So you can queue up multiple things in order. And we're actually going to click on our fleet, and we're going to tell them to travel around to these different systems nearby us, and we're going to have them do all the systems that are kind of nearby us, and I don't know, let's check you out too, and then come back home. Now, the reason that I'm doing that is they won't be able to survey anything, but they will be able to, get a feel for at least what's in the system. And then we'll see, we'll actually speed up the game a little bit here. We'll go right to fastest speed, and we'll be able to kind of get an idea of what's going on. Now, I'm actually going to pause for a second here just because we have some more minerals, and I want to make sure that we are working on our planet. So we did clear that one tile, so how are we doing on food? So we're still okay on food. So actually I'm going to clear this tile first. Let's see, we cannot afford to clear this tile. So how much? Oh, we need more energy. Okay, so we'll have to, I guess we'll wait a little bit. We already have a plant built there, but on some of these tiles that don't have things, and actually probably the first thing that I want to build here is a power plant on that. So we're going to go ahead and I guess let this run for a little while until we get enough energy in order to show some of that off. So let's see here. We have recovered artifacts from an ancient civilization on Ferngale. They must have been active in this region space approximately 12 million years ago, judging by the age of the artifacts. From what they have been able to piece together, our scientists theorize that these aliens who called themselves Voltman Star Assembly were worm-like, whatever that word is, roughly 3 to 4 meters in length, that communicated with each other primarily through vibrations carried through their segmented bodies. Interesting. Okay, so now we actually have something in our situation log. So we have this here, and it's basically giving us this quest that we want to basically recover 6 artifacts from this culture. So that's something that we're going to want to bear in mind. Okay, so we've encountered some aliens from the system. And they've been flagged alpha aliens. So every time that we come across a new race, they're going to be designated, and then we can research that race until we realize what they really are. It didn't take long for the bird system to come across intelligent alien life. There's reported the capital somewhat underestimating how the understands just how these alien forces appear. The only thing in passing mentions the failure to open comms. Okay, so but basically we've come across another race, so we're going to slow it down a little bit here just to fast, and I'm going to again look real quick at my civilization. So now let's see here, I should be able to clear that tile. Yeah, and then after that is cleared, maybe we're going to build some stuff. Well, let's go ahead and build right now. So here are different things. So if we build, for example, a science place on this space here, it will actually block out the food, and that will no longer be available to us, and will be instead be producing one of each science. However, if we build a hydroponics farm here, it will go on top of this. It will be producing 2 food in addition to the 2 food here, and we'll be producing 4 food on that tile. So that's pretty nice. So I'm gonna, I think, go ahead and do that, and then once this space is clear, we're going to build a power plant on there, because we do want more and more power, and then you can get more minerals and things like that. So let's go ahead and just show this off. So there we go. So this has a number 1 by it, because right now this is being done, and then this will be done. You can queue multiple things in there. Now this is also right here showing where the next population is going to go, and let's actually move this kind of ghost population down to here. We don't necessarily need all that much excess food right now. I don't know if the population grows any faster if you have 1 excess food or you have 5 or whatever, but we're definitely going to be working. You know what, actually, if we have enough excess food, we don't really need that right now, so let's go ahead and move you there, I guess. And I want to make building this power a priority, but we'll eventually build a science lab there as well. So let's go ahead and unpause again. Now you can see that our science vessel is going around scanning all these different planets. So right here we came across our first anomaly. So we discovered something on Leafy that didn't match earlier observations from our homeworld. So it's showing us here, this is a level 1 anomaly, and then based on your scientist experience level, basically you're going to have a failure risk. This is just a level 1, we have a 0 failure risk, so we're actually going to tell our scientist to go ahead and research that, which is kind of nice. So they went and turned around right there, and we can zoom in on our science ship. That's kind of cool, and we can see them kind of scanning down on the planet. So that is pretty nice. Now while we're doing this, let's go ahead and zoom out and check out. This is the galaxy at large, so that's kind of cool here. So now we can zoom in here. So this is the planet where we came across some alien space vessels, and we can go into, let's see, our contacts here, or no, excuse me, our situation log, and also investigate the alpha aliens. Now here's the deal. Now you see here, this costs 60, it's estimated to take 11 months right now. If we were to research the alpha aliens right now, it would put on hold our society research. So that is something you want to bear in mind. So we could do this right now, or we could wait for a little bit. And I actually think I am going to wait for a little bit. We are definitely going to want to research them eventually. Now, this is our sphere of influence. This is where we have control over right now. That will expand. We can build stations that basically expand our influence more, or when we colonize a place, that will also allow us to expand out from there. So the anomaly we detected on Leafy unveils something astonishing. The planet surrounded by a trail of undoubtedly produced by FTL engines. We are unable to trace to its origin due to being generated long ago. We should continue to investigate these sorts of anomalies whenever we get the chance. It will most assuredly grant us new knowledge and new technology. So we're being watched, but why? So also, even your race's responses to things are going to vary. Now this tile is cleared up here, so I'm going to go ahead and build that power plant, because I'm definitely going to want power early, and also minerals, in order to build ships. But it's interesting that let's see, power plant 1, so that is in the queue next to be built. And this is our home base here. We can eventually, once we get to a certain population, actually, and I can't remember if we need a technology for it or not, but we can update our home base, and it actually gives adjacency bonuses to food, mineral, and energy credits as well. So that's kind of nice. So we want to make sure that we're working these tiles and getting that adjacency bonus that you can see here, which is pretty cool. So right now, let's kind of just focus on getting those technologies going, and then we will investigate those aliens later, because I'm not too worried about it. Now we can see our science vessel continuing to go around scanning our system. We will eventually get our entire system scanned, and then we'll have more detailed information about everything. So and it's just nice to do, because we also might find different things. Like there, we just actually found what I was about to mention, either mineral deposits or energy deposits or things like that. So let's get our construction ship, and we're going to go over here, and we are going to right click on this planet and say build a mining station. It'll cost us 60 minerals, but then we will be generating 3 energy credits per month based on that. Now these notifications that pop up are kind of nice. They're saying, hey, we have an unused building right here. And you know what? You know what? Let's go ahead and, even if we move you, we still have an unused food building. That's fine, though. We're eventually going to want to work that tile, but right now I'm not too worried about it. But it is nice that there are these notifications that pop up for all different kinds of things. You do want to pay attention to that. Now, once our construction ship is done with that, we're going to shift, right-click, and build a mining station. So this is the other reason, not only to have more information, but you want to uncover all of these little things where you can get more resources, because that is a big part of the game. Not only colonizing planets, but making sure you're gathering enough resources from these different places. So let's see here. So we have surveyed our own system, which is fantastic. Alright, so our construction ship, did you actually complete that? Because I don't think... Let's see here. Oh, the ship is already performing that order. Okay. So he completed that one thing. So, it was construction queue on the planet. Okay, so we'll go check that out in a second. So our leader has gained a level, which is nice. One of our scientists, the one on the science ship, actually, they'll gain experience from researching things by surveying and things like that. So without a doubt that a thriving biosphere is not something unique to Zuma Prime. Both the scientific community and the public at large are eager to learn more about the various forms of alien life throughout the galaxy. Efforts to catalog life forms encountered are already underway, but our xenobiologists have urged us to focus on our planetary survey efforts on habitable life-bearing worlds. So at this point, I have a choice. We have more important things to focus on, and we could just get 20 influence right away, or begins the habitable world survey event. We're going to go ahead and do this, because even though 20 influence is nice, I want to actually... have this instead. So this is saying survey 8 habitable worlds, and that's something we're going to want to do anyway, so that's kind of a big deal. So we're going to go ahead and unpause here. Let's see here. So encountered a hostile hijacked fleet. Okay, so actually where is that? Let me see here. Construction ship. Okay, interesting. Let's see here. Centuries ago, a group of radical priests and their devout followers on Zuma Prime broke away from established religions to form their own church. Oh gosh, we're getting all kinds of things. Scans of the surface become quite clear to have found something out of the ordinary. Its composition and history provide it with extra materials that we should take opportunity to gather. We should come across even more... real areas like this as we survey new planets. Okay, so that's nice. And they basically there's some rogue people and they must be stopped. So let's go check this out. So what exactly happened here? So let's draw our fleet back home. Let's see here. Let's see, what do we have here? Let's get our construction ship back on building the mining station.
System survey complete.
Alright, so let's see here. This okay. So we've surveyed this system as well, and it is within our influence. So after our construction ship finishes what they're doing over there, let's build this one first. This planet is not within our borders. Okay. Interesting. So if we zoom out here, so right here is where this place actually is, and that is not within our border. So it looked like it was at first, but you have to pay attention to where this kind of hexagon is. So hopefully we will eventually get that. So actually let us send our science ship to survey here. Now the reason I want to survey here is you can see that there's a potentially habitable planet. Now this planet has not been surveyed yet, but we will see basically how habitable this planet is after we survey it, and that can be pretty important. Arctic world, let's see here, size 24. So that's interesting too, because different planets have different sizes. Your home planet is always going to be of the same size here. This is basically going to be the layout for your home planet. Now how much food do we have? We have 3 excess. So So we don't really want to pull someone off of food just yet. So we're going to pull you off of science and put you here. Now we don't really need any more food yet, but we do want to get some more science research. So I think we are going to build a science lab here and then move our ghost person to here when that actually unlocks. Now what does that give us for food? Okay, let's see here. Makes it 3 home to titanic life, some of which are so numerous and dangerous that they render some areas of the planet inhospitable for species. So we gained some society research there, so that's kind of cool. So we are... Yeah, so I'm alright with how this is set up. We'll eventually, again, unblock all of these. We'll eventually get more planets, and we actually have enough now that we should be able to... I actually want to clear all of this stuff so that we have that available. But again, all of our starting planets are going to be this size, but there are smaller and larger planets in the galaxy. So let's go ahead and zoom to this ship here. It's kind of nice. There are, shortcut keys to be able to jump to whatever. So if we check this out here, this is 80% basically colonizable. So what that means, we can colonize this planet, and our happiness will be capped at 80%. There are ways in order to raise that up, buildings we can build, different technologies and things like that. But that's an important thing to bear in mind. So this one, I don't even think we can colonize this yet. We would have to unlock certain things, and it would be capped at 20% because this is not the type of world that our people want to be on. So we've gone ahead and checked out that system. So what other systems do we want to survey with our science ship? So actually, let's go ahead and survey this system as well, because there may be a habitable world there as well. But this is probably the place that we're going to want to expand to first. It's a really big planet. We're going to have to uncover the technologies. You see, these are blocked out in red. We don't have the technologies to unblock these blockers yet. That's something we're going to have to achieve. But even so, that's a really nice planet, and maybe the first place that we want to expand to. So that's something that we'll want to keep in mind. So here, now this is where we have a more interesting choice. So we're at skill level 2. This is a level 3 anomaly. We have a 35% risk of failure. If we research this right now and fail, we won't get anything out of it, and there can be catastrophic failures where you lose your science ship or your science officer or even both. So do we want to risk it? You know what? I'm going to go ahead and say we'll risk it at the 35%. So what I think I'm going to do right now, and we haven't even really got into shipbuilding or anything like that. Our leader gained a level, anomaly, building, we found a fleet. But that should give you a basic idea of some of the basic things in the game, and in the next video we'll get a little bit more into details and expanding the galaxy. So let's see here. So did we fail? Yep. So it was 35% and we managed to fail. It does seem like you fail a lot even at the low percentage failures. Now it wasn't a catastrophic failure, so we didn't really lose anything, which is not bad, but maybe we should have waited until we were at least level 3 in order to research that. So we're going to pause right here. So we did research colony ship. Now in order to build a colony ship, in order to send out to, grow on these planets and things like that, and we may actually push an early colony ship in order to do that. So now, again, we have these 3 choices have now come up. So army upkeep. Now that doesn't necessarily help us too much early in the game, but if we want to keep building big armies, that's kind of nice. Let's see here. The Xeno Zoo. So this is one of the things I was talking about that can modify happiness. So planets are capped as far as their happiness based on their habitability, but you can increase planetary happiness by building certain buildings. So that would be kind of cool. But I think I'm going to go with this because I really like the propaganda broadcasts are, an edict that you can pass to increase happiness by 10% for 10 years on a planet. So that's pretty cool. But I really want this monthly influence. Influence is something that we probably shouldn't be in too much trouble with in the game because we're going to be able to do rivalries and things like that and get bonuses for that. I know I was having issues having enough influence in the first game that I played. So maybe I just want to go with this right away instead and be saving money over time. You know what? That is what I'm going to do because I'm not as worried about influence in this playthrough. And the Xenozoo, that's something we will worry about later. So we've gone ahead and selected that research, and I think I'm going to go ahead and stop right now. So in the next video, again, we're going to actually, now that we have done a ship. Let's go ahead back real quick to our home world, and this is kind of nice too. You can actually hotkey different things down here. So right now my home world is hotkeyed to 1, and then you can set these to different things as well. And if I go to spaceports, I actually, let's see here, I can build a colony ship, so that is good to know. Now I think, let's see here, you know what, we're going to go ahead and build the colony ship right away because we have enough resources to do it. Now we don't have enough resources in order to get the, let's see here, Grand Corvette. What is? Oh, this is a special thing we can build because of our leader and part of our military faction or whatever. But and we haven't finished the research yet. But we are going to want to build the Corvette station and upgrade to level 2 as soon as possible as well. But that's stuff we're doing in the next video. In the next video, we should have our colony ship built, and we can go out and expand the universe, start growing some more Arctic foxes over here, or maybe over here. So what do we got over here? So let's see here. Oh, we're still surveying that one. But again, that should give you some of the basics of the game, and then we'll really start to expand, maybe see some more cultures in the next one. But thanks a lot for watching, and we'll talk to you again soon.